Starting with this tutorial, we're going to do the Mehron liquid latex. This is the 4.5 ounce bottle. If you're just starting out, the 1 ounce bottle is totally fine and more than enough for 1 or 2 looks. And then always make sure to wear something you don't care about that much, such as a basic top that you can just throw away because this will ruin your clothing. In this case, I'm just wearing this basic Zara tank top, and I'm gonna be putting this into this little paper cup because the spout is a little bit narrow, and if you're directly pouring this onto your body, it's just not gonna work. So I'm just gonna pour a little bit of this in here. It's pretty liquidy, just about that much, just to coat the bottom of the cup. And then this stuff does dry, so close the top. Then I'm going to take this brush that I also ordered from Mehron. It's their Paradise Makeup AQ brush. And I'm gonna be painting that on. Just a thin layer because the thicker the layer that you use, it will take longer to dry. You wanna go all the way across because when you do the slit throat, you need to give yourself enough space to make the cut. If it's too narrow and you only do it like up to there, it's not going to be enough room and it's not going to look realistic. You can go as thin or as thick as you want. If you do want it to have that open effect, I would recommend making this a little bit wider just so you have a little bit more room to play around with. And then next I'm going to do, I have this piece of tissue paper, and so I'm going to separate the plies just like so. Rip that into strips and then just lay it down across, stick it on there. And then anywhere that doesn't stick, you can just kind of rip off. It's not the most glamorous, but you are gonna wanna do this a couple of times because 1 layer of tissue won't be enough. On this side, I already started drying, so I have to go back in a little bit. And just go over top of that. Literally, do not worry, it does not have to be exact, it does not have to be perfectly cut. The shape doesn't matter as long as it's more or less covering the new layer of liquid latex. It will all work itself out. And when I'm coating the brush, I'm literally just coating the littlest amount. So as you can see, there's still a lot in this cup, and I might not even use all of this for the tutorial. So liquid latex definitely does go a long way. If you get it on your skin, just quickly wipe it off, otherwise it will dry. Now I want to even this a little bit, so I'm gonna add a little bit more. So I've got a really good base here with the tissue. I'm just gonna go in one more time just so I can get a little bit thicker because right now it's quite thin and it's gonna be hard to pull apart and do the slit. Okay, so I feel like that's a really good base now. So what I'm gonna do is, I can't slit the throat yet until it is dry. So I'm gonna get a blow dryer and just like torch this. And for the liquid latex I use, there is still some in the bottom of the cup. So it gives you an approximation of maybe how much to use when you're doing it. Okay, so now that that is mostly dry, it feels a little bit tacky, but that's fine. I'm going to do a little bit of just a translucent powder. It's honestly like somewhat similar to my skin tone, but I'm gonna do a little bit of makeup over top just to help blend the look in together. So I'm just using the same foundation I use on my face. It's the Dior Forever Skin Glow in 3W0. I know it's a little bit bougie for a Halloween tutorial, but it's just what I use on my face today. So I'm just gonna blend that out with a Real Technique sponge and set it with some powder. So for the next step, you do have to be careful because this is where we do the slit. You don't want to cut yourself, obviously. So what I've seen a lot of people do that I didn't do last year is they've been sticking makeup brushes or like some sort of non-threatening utensil into the liquid latex. And this stuff is like so stuck, you don't have to worry about ruining it. Oh my god, it looks so gross. Okay, so now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take this pair of little scissors and just cut along where that gap is. Obviously just be careful not to puncture yourself, just go along where the pencil is. I'm just looking at a mirror for reference. That's why I did this thick tissue, that way it's like a lot of a lot of extra cushioning. Okay, once you make the initial cut, it's a lot easier. It's just hard to get through that initial layer because it all bunches up, but don't cut all the way to the end because you don't want to open the liquid latex. So just keep it, give yourself like half an inch of playroom. So now what I can do is I can just kind of pull it apart. It's so flexible, and just kind of stretch it, gather it, whatever I want to do. But what we really want to do, the look I'm going for is pretty open. You can just do a straight slit, but I like when it's looking a little bit open because I like to have the effect of if you lift up your head, it just opens. So I'm going to trim off a little bit of this. What I'm gonna do now, I don't have any of my red, like Ben Nye color right now, so I'm gonna improvise a little bit. I'm gonna use a little bit of this NARS liquid lip. It's such a good red. This is one of my favorite shades personally for myself. It's called Don't Stop. It's their Power Matte Lip Pigment. I'm just gonna apply that underneath here, just to make it look extra nice and red. While that's drying, I'm gonna use my Anastasia Beverly Hills Soft Glam palette. I'm gonna use some of these shades here to create a bruised effect. You can also use like a bruise wheel or a bruise palette, but honestly, sometimes you just gotta work with. I'm using this mulberry color, which is like a perfect bruise color. Layering that all over here. Doesn't have to be precise, it just gives that extra look of like a stressed neck. I don't want this to be bright red, so I'm just gonna go in with mulberry over the liquid lip now that it's dried. See, now it's a little bit more of like a realistic purple, like dark blood look. For this look, if you use things that are just too bright red, it's just gonna look too fake. Like you gotta give it that wound value, you know? So that's a good base, I would say, for the bruising. Now I'm gonna go in with the fun part. First, I'm gonna use this Mehron Coagulated Blood Gel. It's so cool. Like, look how thick it is. It's crazy. And it comes with this little like weird tubey brush thing. And also one thing I've done for this tutorial is I've laid down towels because I have ruined many items of clothing before and carpets doing these kind of special effects, especially liquid latex that does not come out of carpets. So lay down some towels or some newspapers or whatever before you start doing this. Then I'm just gonna brush this coagulated blood inside. It's just extra thick. You don't wanna get the cheap like $1 fake blood from like the dollar store or Halloween store. It's just not the same quality. And if you wanna have a look that lasts you a few hours at least and you can take photos in, this stuff is really good. I find those cheap Halloween makeup store blood, they just run down your body and they're so light red, they're not realistic. Ugh, see, mess. We're just getting our hands dirty now. It's dedication. Dedication. I'm just gonna literally just like dot this. I'm just gonna take this little sponge from Mehron as well and just dip it into that coagulated blood instead, just to kind of try and get rid of some of this mess that's happening. It's so thick. So far. And this blood is great because it will literally just stay put. And it has such a nice sheen to it, and it won't drip unless you put on too much. We want to go beyond. We want to do even more. We want to do a little bit of blood drips because we have just had our throat slashed. And so I have another blood to use. I have this Stage Blood. It's a syrup-based blood, also from Mehron. Mehron is amazing for special effects, by the way. It's a little bit more runny, and so I'm going to apply that just in like dripply droplets. But first, before I start walking around with blood dripping down me, I'm going to get a lip color put on so I can take some photos right after this and not have blood dripping all over the floor. Okay, so I've got a lip on now, feeling a little bit more alive or glamorously dead. I don't know, you decide. It's the Claudia Schiffer, one of the Claudia Schiffer lip pencils. Can't remember the shade, but I'll link it below. Honestly, obsessed. It's such a pretty nude. Okay, so now I'm gonna play around with the Stage Blood and literally just going in. It feels so gross as the stuff drips. Okay, so I grabbed this really cute espresso spoon. It's like way too cute for this tutorial. Sorry, dude. I'm just gonna literally pour a little bit of this onto the spoon. Just be patient with the Stage Blood. Now I'm just doing a little bit of extra. I'm making my hand super bloody and creepy for extra effect for photos. You don't have to do this. I'm literally just mixing some of that coagulated blood and some of the Stage Blood. And I'm using a combo of just the brush that this comes with and my little sponge and just rubbing that all over. And you just have to be patient. There's a lot of fake blood going on here. But I just thought it'd be extra fun for pictures, for extra effect. This is sticky, so try not to stick your hands together if you do this step. Think about where the camera will face. So I'm trying to focus more of the blood on this side versus this side. Okay, you guys, this is the final look. I really hoped that you enjoyed watching this tutorial and you enjoyed learning how to do a slit throat. And please subscribe and like the video. I would love to have you back here for more Halloween and makeup looks and beauty. I hope you're having a great day.